I'm James Vowles, I'm the Chief Strategist for the team, and I'm here to answer your questions with the Pure Pit Wall about the German Grand Prix. We knew that the weather conditions were going to be varied going into the German Grand Prix. There was rain on the horizon. We had Lewis starting back in P14, starting on that soft tyre, and he did a fantastic job in the first stint of the race. Already by lap 14, he'd fought through the traffic and was up into P5. At the front of the grid, you had Vettel and Valtteri and Kimi all running together, and Kimi took the first opportunity on lap 14 to convert to a two-stop strategy. Most cars would have been thinking Ferrari were trying to split the strategy and cause a little bit of an upset later on in the race. We kept Valtteri out. Vettel had to react accordingly and also stay out until they hit a lot of backmarker traffic. And on lap 25, Vettel came in. On lap 28, Valtteri came in. Both cars taking the soft tyre. From there to the end of the race, the story was really when is the rain going to hit and where is it going to hit? We kept Lewis out very, very long. He made it all the way up to lap 42 when we decided to come in and take another ultra soft to give him the best chance possible in light rain conditions. The rain hit, you saw what it was very difficult, cars spinning off everywhere, and Vettel eventually went off on lap 52 of the race at turn 13, bringing out the safety car. We boxed both cars. Valtteri came in and there were no tyres available for him immediately, so we had to wait for the tyres to be fitted. Lewis came in and then went straight back out again onto track, which we'll go through later. With Kimi, he stayed out on track, never made it into the pit lane. At the restart, you saw that all the cars were fighting each other, but as things all shook out at the end, Lewis took the win from starting 14th on the grid, Valtteri second, and Kimi third. Hi, Ben on Facebook. Great question with regards to Lewis, his strategy, and why we went so long on those tyres. We took the soft tyre at the beginning of the race with the intention of running very long, and Lewis, in the end, did the longest first stint of anyone. We were continuously monitoring and talking to him about how the tyres are and what the state is with them to make sure we could push them along, and there was still life left in the tyres. We knew there wasn't a chance of rain, but we believed it to be very light later on, and one of the best things you could have is fresh ultra soft tyres rather than a very used soft tyre in those conditions. When we stopped, we were 25 seconds behind Vettel, but Lewis did a fantastic job and managed to pull all that lead pack back in to within 11 seconds of him, so a gain of 14 seconds overall. Correct decision, put ourselves in a very good position in order to then go on to win the race. Hi, Michael on Facebook. Thank you very much for your question with regards to what tyre we fitted with Lewis during his first stop. It wasn't into wet conditions clearly at that point, so it had to be a dry compound, and you want the one that provides the most grip available to you, which of our selection is the ultra soft there. It provides the best grip in those greasy conditions. So really a straightforward decision. Hi Ryan, thank you for your question, which came via Twitter, which was regards to how do we know it was going to rain at turn 6. On the pit wall sat with us is our expert weather forecaster. He's continuously monitoring all the available systems to him to understand what rain's around, how it will form, and what will happen during the course of the race. And in German Grand Prix, it was invaluable to make the decisions we did. What he could see is even at the beginning of the race, there was a rain cell forming just 4 kilometers away. So very, very close, but didn't hit the circuit. But he could predict the nature of which the cells were coming in, how they were expanding, and therefore where it would hit if it were to expand, which was turn 6. He informed both engineers, which then informed the drivers, and allowed us to prepare in the best way possible for what was then going to happen. He also forecast that the rain would be light and not covering all the circuit. Hi Jose, thank you for your question which came via Instagram, which is about when and why did we decide not to fit the wet tyres during the course of the race. We knew that the conditions were very difficult out there for both Valtteri and Lewis, and they were really struggling. You saw a number of cars, in fact, both spinning, Leclerc doing a full 360, and Vettel crashing on lap 52 of the race. It was difficult. There was 1 to 2 laps that were into the interconditions, around lap 51, 52. Everything else was very much still faster on slicks, if not extremely difficult. And we knew that. We knew that the rain was passing, that was the worst of it, and you had to remain on slick tyres in order to maximize your benefit. At one point in that race, on lap 46, there was every single compound used. There was a medium, a soft, an ultra soft, an inter, and an X-wet, just to show you how difficult the conditions were out there to both predict and work with. Both Valtteri and Lewis did an incredible job, kept it on the track, and ultimately that's what led to a fantastic 1-2. Hi Ben, thank you for your question, which is regards to Valtteri's stop under the safety car and what happened. We had a few seconds to react with Valtteri. We got him into the pit lane, he did a great job. What then happened was a miscommunication on what tyres were required, and intermediate tyres were called. That was incorrect. We knew Ultrasoft was going to be the correct tyre. The conditions right then and there were intermediate, but what was going to happen is after the safety car appeared, they were 100% going to be back into Ultrasoft or dry conditions. What then happened is, given the high pressure situation, the guys did a fantastic job, and something we purposely trained for. They dealt with it in an extremely calm manner, got the correct tyres for Valtteri's car of the correct specification, and all four were bolted to the car, and the car left the pit lane in a very short period of time afterwards. Hi Evan, thank you very much for your question which came via Instagram, which was about Lewis's stop under the safety car and just what happened. A question I'm sure many of you are asking yourself. It was quite evident it didn't all go to plan. On lap 52, Valtteri was in turn 15 when the safety car was deployed. That's around a 2.5 seconds reaction time that we have to get him in before he's at the pit lane entry. And with Lewis, we only had a few seconds more than that. So it's not very long in order to coordinate two drivers, an engineering team, and all of the pit crew to come out in the pit lane with the correct tyres. It creates a huge amount of radio traffic, and indeed too much. It was mostly chaotic during that point in time with a lot of transmissions everywhere. And as a result of it, there was a miscommunication to Lewis. He understood that he should go back out on track, and he completed that. He drove across the grass and got back out on track again. The reality behind all of it is that actually that turned out to be extremely fortunate given the issues that we had with Valtteri and the tyres at the pit stop. It put Lewis in the lead of the race, and those tyres were able to recover. We could indeed have stopped next lap as Kimi did, but decided to keep him out there and keep those tyres going. It's his best chance of winning the race, and it worked out very well. Hi Jess, thank you for your question which came via Twitter. It was about Lewis and where could he finish without rain or safety cars in the German Grand Prix. Before the race, we'd sat down with Lewis extensively and gone through the various options available to him. And one thing that was clear was he had to fight through traffic very, very quickly. And by around about lap 14, he'd done that. He'd done a fantastic job. The second was that his best result today would come from taking the soft tyres very, very long, as others may be suffering with blistering or convert to a two-stop. Again, he did a fantastic job taking those tyres all the way up into lap 42, going back onto the ultra soft tyres. In the morning, we had predicted that fifth was very much achievable, but to get a podium, we needed something more. We needed a safety car, we needed some set of conditions to push us there. As it was, before the rain even turned up in that race, Lewis actually was on course for potentially getting back up into P4, maybe even P3 in the best case scenario, because his pace was so strong. The reality though is, as the rain started to hit, we saw opportunity that it was far more than that, and he was able to deliver on Sunday. Thank you very much for all of your questions. We enjoy answering them, and they really do allow us to understand how you see the race through your eyes. We'll be back next week to review the Hungarian Grand Prix.